Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. I am Ron Luce. I am joined by the one, the only, the cheese man himself, Mr. Joey Ricotta. My friend, we have a special guest. I don't want to waste any time. I do want to know, though, quickly, how are you tonight, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited. I am jacked up for this. This is something that I kind of talked to you and Juice and the guys about a little bit, but something that I've talked to the guest about for a little bit now, and something I'm super excited about because when I first heard this story, I'm like, wow, coming from somebody who's like played the game and then stepped away and then came and play the game again, and not at this high of a level. Like the guest that we have on tonight it's really like an inspirational type of story to me. So, yeah, man, I'm good. How are you doing, Ron?
I am good, man, and I am also excited. I can't wait. So, without further ado, why don't we bring him in, ladies and gentlemen, our guest this evening, Cubs now minor league pitcher. Once again, he is back, as he said. The kid is back. Trey Lang. Trey, thank you for joining us tonight, sir. First off, how are you doing tonight? How's everything going?
Man, I'm doing good. Everything's going well, and excited to be here with you guys. So, ready to get this show on the road.
Yeah, man. Well, like Joey said, we appreciate you jumping on. Obviously, Joey reached out to you, and we're thankful for your time and you joining us tonight. And Joey, I mean, you're like you said, you're the one that feels the connection to Trey's story as well, man. So I'll let you lead it off. Let's get into the nitty gritty and learn more about our great guest here on this beautiful evening.
Absolutely, man. And I kind of said that jokingly because like I stepped away from playing baseball, a rec league. You know what I mean? Like I stepped away for a year or two playing ball, and then I went back, and I'm like, you know what? This is hard. Like this is like coming back after that amount of time that I stepped away from. This is hard. Like you got to get your legs under you. You got to make sure you're in impeccable shape. Trey, like you stepped away. You were obviously a 2012 draft pick by the Cubs. You stepped away. You played for parts of 3 seasons. Pitcher for in the minor leagues. You played with the short season A-ball Boise Hawks. This is probably weird for you hearing like your history, like yeah, that's my history. But like I just kind of want to give the listeners a little bit of an understanding of like who you are and why you're here because there might be some Cubs fans out there that really don't know exactly who you are because it's been so long. So like you retired ahead of the 2015 season, you stepped away, and now you announced, you actually told us, I think in July, that you were going to make a return. At least that's what I saw. And then, recently I saw, I think it was beginning of November, that you were returning and you had the Cubs logo with the picture in it and everything. And I'm like, wow, like this is, looking into your story, I'm like 2015 to 2022. That's a long time away from the game. So like, I guess I'll just kind of start there. What started, like, where was your mind at? Well, I kind of want to go back before I go forward. Where was your mind at? What were you thinking? Like, that couldn't have been an easy decision to step away from the game in 2015. Obviously something you're very passionate about, you're very good at. So what was that like?
Man, that was tough. I think, first of all, the hardest thing was telling my dad, like, hey, man, I think I'm going to hang him up, because it's like, that's my hero. He means the world to me. So I felt like I was letting him down. But really, it was just like, first of all, I was new to pitching. I got drafted in 2012. I had pitched like 30 innings in college. I was an outfielder. So I'm used to playing every day. All of a sudden, I get drafted as a pitcher, and now I get into the minor leagues, and they're like, hey, we're going to make you a starting pitcher. You got a fresh arm. I'm like, I don't even know how to throw out of the windup. You know what I'm saying? So this is a whole new animal for me. So honestly, just got thrown to the wolves, right? Like minor league baseball, traveling, pitching every 5 days. Like it was a grind. Like I think, Joey, as you had wrote in the article about my wild pitches.
I'm glad that you got a kick out of that. And your dad, first of all, I kind of, not to cut you off at all, but your pops, like, you said that he he wasn't going to bring that part up.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, man, I'm just glad that they got a kick out of that, because I'm like, that could come off numerous different ways to somebody
Right.
if you write that, so I love that.
What's funny is I think I actually got a baseball card when I was in Boise, and on the back of the baseball card it says that I have the record for the most wild pitches in a game.
That's incredible. That's a great record now looking back, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to be remembered for something, right? So but yeah, man, I just struggled. Obviously had fun, been playing baseball my whole life, so loved baseball. So it was a tough decision to step away. Ultimately for me, I just felt like I had a lot of learning to do, a lot of growing to do, and I needed to figure out who I was as a person. Because at the time it was like baseball felt like if I didn't make it to the major leagues, like I was a failure. I failed at life. Like I had nothing going for me except for baseball. So I kind of needed to do some soul searching on my own, learn about who I was as a person. And so ultimately that's kind of what led to the decision.
That's incredible, man. That is incredible. First of all, I hope now, of course, that that's not at all the case if you're ever feeling that way. And I'm just glad that, you did that soul searching, because sometimes I think that's what it takes, just in all people doing anything, any activity that they're doing. Sometimes I think you can get a little bit burnt out and feel like, hey, I need to take this time away and get myself right. I think that's really cool. And now, you're a certified trainer. I'm looking at your Instagram. I know you got clients all the time and stuff. And Mr. Never Miss a Monday, like, putting that work in to get back here, man. Like that's super cool. That, like, what was the decision like now to come back? Like now the comeback story's on, right? You're doing these bullpen sessions, hitting nearly 98 from what I saw. Like, I don't know if maybe I'm off. Maybe that's a little bit higher, but like, what's it like? What was the decision like to like do it? I'm going to pursue my dream. Like I actually want to do this now.
So I'll backtrack a little bit. So I went 7 years without touching a baseball, right? Like didn't watch baseball outside of like the Cubs World Series in 2016, or like watching some of my old teammates like Zach Godley, Bruce, or one of my best friends, Bruce Maxwell, Jake Barrett. So some of these guys that played professional baseball, like I'm tuning in, watching them, CJ Edwards. Other than that, like I didn't touch a baseball. I didn't talk about baseball. Like I didn't do anything baseball. It was like when I walked away, I felt like I had to just leave everything behind me. Well, last year I kind of got to this point where I was like, man, like if I got an opportunity to play baseball again, I think I would. But like I didn't know you could play men's league baseball. Like I didn't know that existed. Well, so this stranger at the time, now he's like one of my good friends, like a brother to me. His name's Victor Flores. He messages me on Instagram. He's like, hey, we're looking for a pitcher on our team. Like, you want to play baseball? And I'm like, man, like I haven't touched a baseball in 7 years. Like, I don't know about that. But I end up meeting him out at the park to have a Sunday league game. I go out there. I start playing catch. All I talk about for a whole week is baseball. That's all I can think about. That's all I want to do. Like, I can't wait for next Sunday because, like, I'm going to play this time. So that week I was like playing catch, getting my arm ready. I show up to the game. I like sit 7 innings. And finally, like in the 8th inning, I get in at bat. I think I ground out, play right field. I'm juiced. And I'm like, Dad, like, you got to come watch. Like, we're having a good time. So last year, I ended up playing probably for like 5 or 6 teams, just different men's leagues. I'm having a blast now. I'm all in, playing outfield. I think I pitched like 5 or 6 innings, just like started to get my feet wet a little bit. And then it was like the season ended. And I was like, man, like I was just having fun. Like, what do I do now? Well, my roommate, he works for TrackMan. He's like, hey, we have this basically like TrackMan data capturing event they're doing. They got a new baseball unit. They need guys that throw over 80 miles an hour. He's like, can you come out here? I was like, I don't know how hard I throw, but like I could try. So I get on the mound. I'm throwing like 95 miles an hour. I was like, okay, like, I'm kind of surprised myself because
that's over 80.
Yeah, I didn't know I had that in the tank. Like, I just got off of work at 2:00, showed up to the field, stretched a little bit. Now I'm throwing 95. So I'm like, okay, like I just kind of filed that in the memory bank of like, okay, like it's cool to know that's there. So this year rolls around, getting ready for men's league again. And now I kind of know, like, hey, I throw, low to mid 90s. Like, so now knowing that like I had success last year and I'm throwing fastballs by guys, like I can see why. So kind of this year, I'm like getting the itch to play baseball. And I text one of my old teammates, Sean Dunston, and then my buddy Bruce Maxwell, and they were playing down in Mexico together. And I was like, hey, I'm going to play with you guys this year. And like once I said that, it was kind of like I felt like I couldn't back out. Like I had to actually start training and preparing. So my roommate Phil, I started playing catch with him a couple days a week. One of my good friends, Pete, that I met in the men's league, I started playing catch with him a couple days a week. And then when I can't play catch with someone, I'm just playing catch against a brick wall. I'm just doing this like every single day. Well, I think maybe like May rolls around and Bruce calls me. He's talking about his team down in Mexico. And I was like, man, I need to go down there with you. Like, I'll dominate those guys. Like, I'm just talking mess, right? Like, I haven't even really played baseball at a competitive level. And his girlfriend, who's now my agent, she's like, Trey, are you serious? And Bruce is like, of course he's serious. So I was like, I guess I'm serious, I'm like, he's talking for me. So like, we're just going to let it run. She's like, I'll make some calls right now. Well, then that ends up being these teams in Mexico are like, hey, we need video of you. And I'm like, man, the only video I got is me pitching in the men's league. Like, they don't want to see me pitching against, some plumber that just got off of work, or you know what I'm saying? So finally, Bruce is like, hey, you need to go get some data, pitch on a TrackMan or something. So I don't. Back when I was playing, we didn't have all this, at least not to my knowledge, right? So
right.
I have no idea what this means. I end up reaching out to some guys, actually the guys that own Terra Sports, and they're like, yeah, come on down. Like, we got you, whatever you need. So I show up, I'm telling them like, yeah, I throw 95, and they're kind of just looking at me like, whatever. Like, everyone just kind of makes up numbers. So I kind of am like, now I'm like nervous. Like, I'm here to throw a bullpen, and I'm kind of nervous because I feel like they just kind of shut me down a little bit. So I hop on the mound, and I'm like, first fastball is like 94, and like eyes open, and it's like 95, 96. And now like everyone in this gym's like kind of watching me throw, and I'm getting fired up because I'm like, man, like I didn't know I could do this still, So
that's incredible.
So that ends up like sending that data off to Mexico. Obviously nothing ends up happening there, but so that was kind of like the start of getting back into baseball. And that kind of, I guess the whole idea of pitching in Mexico was like a catalyst of events that ended up happening. So I reach out to my college coach, Rob Shabansky over at Gateway Community College. And I'm like, hey, like whatever you can do, I'm trying to get back into baseball. Like, here's all my data. Here's all my videos. He's like, hey, I'll see what I can do. So one night I get a text message from Bill Mitchell. He's a baseball photographer for Baseball America. And he's like, hey, Trey, are you still trying to get back into baseball? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, I'm sitting here with the Tampa Bay Rays scout right now. Do you want me to give him your contact info? I'm like, absolutely, like, let's do it. So I end up meeting up with the Tampa Bay Rays scout. I throw a bullpen for him. I think I'm like, again, 94, 96. He kind of afterwards, he's like, yeah, like you deserve a shot. Like you got good stuff. And so I'm getting his, kind of seal of approval. And he calls me the next day and he's like, hey, just so you know, you're actually under contract with the Cubs. Like, we can't keep talking anymore. Like, if you want, like, I'll reach out to the Cubs. I'll let them know, like, you're throwing 98 miles an hour and tell them they need to come take a look at you. And I'm like, cool, like, let's do it. So then the next day, the Cubs call me, and they're like, hey, when can we come watch you pitch? So, mind you, I'm tripping. I'm like,
yeah,
what is going on right now?
That's a lot at once. Like, a lot happened fast.
This is a 3-day span. Like,
this has just been crazy. So, like 2 days later, I throw a bullpen for the Cubs. In that bullpen, I'm up to 98. Like, things are just going well. And then it's like crickets. Don't hear nothing from nobody. So like talking to my agent, kind of like what's going on, what's the next steps. And I think like a month later, Cubs call and they're like, hey, we want you to come down to Sloan. We want you to come throw a bullpen. I'm like, cool. So I go down there. So this is like the first time I've stepped foot in the facility since, 2014. I walk by my old locker. I go through, the clubhouse. I'm walking through the weight room. One of the guys that used to work there, Gil Passarella, I'm gonna love Gil, just like an incredible human being. He actually just retired. So I got to see him, talk to him for a while. It's been, forever, right? 8 years. So I go, I pitch. After the bullpen, they're like, do you got any questions? I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to ask, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
No. He's like, cool, see you later. It's like, all right, pack up my bags and I leave. So then probably like 2 weeks later, we're now working on getting my reinstatement into Major League Baseball. So I'm having to draft letters, send those in, requesting to be reinstated. Then finally, I'm at work one day. I get a missed call from a Massachusetts number. And I listen to the voicemail, and it's like, hey, Trey, just want to call and let you know you've been reinstated into baseball. Like, you're a Chicago Cub again. Like, welcome back. Give me a call. And I'm like, man, this is crazy.
Let's go. What were the emotions when you first got that phone call? Like, I mean, obviously probably through the roof, but I mean,
at first, I didn't really know what to think. It had been like, this is like a months long process now. And then obviously knowing like the uphill battle I had to climb to get there, knowing like I'm 30 years old. I haven't played professional baseball in 8 years. Like, how do you even go back into play professional baseball? Like, if you don't get drafted, like, and you're not a dude that's been playing, like, to get seen, like, how does that happen? I don't know. So to me, it's all like, all the odds are against me. So I was just overwhelmed. I'm excited. I think the first thing I did, I called my dad, and like I call my dad every morning. So when I called him, and mind you, this whole process, he's been like, have you heard anything? Have you heard anything? Have you heard anything? And I'm like, bro, you got to quit asking me, because every time I say no, like, it hurts my heart a little bit, So when I called him, like, he knew, because he's like, he doesn't call me in the middle of the day. So I call him, and he was like, what's the news? And I was like, man, I'm a Chicago Cub again. And he starts cheering. He's going crazy. I start crying, because I'm like, man, like, I never thought this day would come. Like, so yeah, just overwhelming, definitely.
That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, Ron, I don't know. I'll let you talk, because I feel like I'm keep going here, but that is incredible, man. Like,
no, I was gonna say, like, that's just, it's such a, like you said, it's a whirlwind, right? Like, you go from just working your normal day job and doing this, and then over a month you learn you can throw 95. You know what I mean? Like, all of this comes at you at once, and then it's like, now you're a Cub again. Like, what have the Cubs, I guess, told you from like a plan standpoint? Like, have they given you any indication of what level you're going to start at? Are you getting an invite to spring training? Like, what does that look like now for you? Because, I mean, let's call it what it was. Like, a sixth round draft pick is still a pretty high draft pick, especially in baseball, especially back then, right? It wasn't capped at 20 rounds like it is now. It was still, a 40 round draft. So, clearly the talent was there, right? And so they got to be at least kind of excited, right? Like, what is that? Like, what does the plan look like for you now, kind of going forward? Like, what have the Cubs told you that at least you can share, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, hey, where are you starting? Like, do you know where you're pitching yet? And if the Cubs are like, you can't say that yet, like, obviously, only what you can tell us, but like, what does that look like? Like, are you going to get to work in the pitch lab? Like, what is kind of, I guess, the plan now that you are, again, the kid is back. You are officially a Chicago Cub.
Yes, indeed. Man, I don't know. That's
fair.
That's what I know, bro. Like, the conversations have just basically been like, we're going to get you ready for spring training. And that's pretty much what I've been doing. So Monday through Friday, I'm at the facility, 8 o'clock in the morning, eating breakfast, working out, playing catch. I'm just grinding, like, now I don't have to play catch against the wall. I got a nice facility to work out at. You know, I got people to play catch with, and it's just nice to be back. I mean, there's 50 plus guys at the facility, so I'm playing catch with people. I'm meeting people, my teammates. You know, like Kyle Hendricks is walking around, and every time I come in, he's like, "Hey, what's up, Trey?" And you know, just to be back in the locker room, hanging out with, you know, Steele, hanging out with Alzale. You know, I played with them back in the day. So, like, I mean, me and Justin just played catch yesterday, you know.
That's cool.
By the way, that fastball coming out of his hand just lightened up my glove.
Oh, boy. That's a nice fastball right there.
It's a zinger, man. It's a zinger.
The wall
He's been on the
doesn't
show,
throw the ball
actually.
that fast.
Justin has.
I was
Justin's on the show.
Justin's a friend of the show. Yeah, he's a friend of the show.
Yeah, he's a good guy, man. Love getting to see him every morning. Always got a smile on his face, and you know, it's just nice to be back at the facility. You know, I got coaches, I've got personnel I can talk to. So, yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I got no idea. Outside of just get ready for spring training.
Nice.
That's pretty much what it is. Just putting in the work and just waiting for the opportunity, man. I'm just like, I think every day I'm just like, man, I'm grateful to be here. I just appreciative of the opportunity. Obviously, I know what it's like to be without baseball. And so now knowing that, man, every day is a blessing. I try to say, you know, what's up to every single guy I walk by, help out however I can. Like you said, I'm, you know, certified personal trainer. I've worked in, you know, rehab and physical therapy. So when I see guys working out, especially some of the younger guys in there, you know, like, I'll kind of stop my workout, give them a couple pointers, you know, help them out, just because, like, I know what it means to have people like pour into me, especially people that know more. So, like, I'm trying to help out any way that I can, and just enjoy being a teammate again. So
that's awesome.
That sounds like you were going to be one of the best teammates that anybody can ask for. Like, how often do you have a teammate that's a personal trainer, and then that giving with the time, you know, to be able to, like, hey, you know, why don't you lift this way? Like, you're putting a little bit too much. I don't know the specifics of it, but I'm just kind of like thinking in my head. Yeah, man. Like, what I was gonna say, you mentioned Alzale. You also played with a lot of guys on that. You know, you talked about the World Series and 2015 a little bit, watching those guys. What was it like? Like, what was going through your mind as that was happening? Because the team just kind of started getting good in 2015, and then really over the top, obviously, the World Series, everyone knows. But in 2016, but like watching some of those guys, your former teammates, like you played with Chris Bryant, and forgetting all the other names now, Bodie, obviously you could reunite with him, be a teammate with him again, and then Alzale, and I believe, I want to say, I know there's a lot of other names, but were you with Bias too, like, or Schwarber, Kyle Schwarber? Yeah. So what was it like watching those guys, I guess, kind of succeed while you were just like, man, not to be like, take it to like a negative term, but like, obviously you probably were like real happy for those guys, you know, succeeding at the highest level.
Yeah, I mean, I was over the top excited. I remember I was at BJ's Brewery. I'm watching the game. Cubs end up winning. I'm going crazy. You know, I'm so excited. I see, you know, CJ's running around the field with the W flag. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, that's my boy, you know. I'm like, I was just fired up. You know, I wasn't there anymore. So, like, there was no, like, bitter side of me or, like, anything like that. Like, first of all, I was in short season A-ball, so I was a long way away from the show. You know what I'm saying? So just to see my friends and my teammates succeed and obviously get that ultimate win, right? Like that World Series, like it was just dope. It was dope, you know, and I got a CJ Edwards jersey with the World Series logo on it. Like,
that's awesome,
man. I even got Kyle Schwarber's running shoes. That's what I run and work out in.
Nice.
Right now. Like,
that's funny.
Yeah, man, I'm just appreciative. I was happy for them. That's a great piece of history I got to play a role in. Like,
yeah,
I was with the organization, you know, so
yeah,
still there. It's exciting.
Who was who's like the funniest teammate that you had? Like, it could have been any level. Like, doesn't matter. Could have been college. Like, who's like the funniest guy? Like the dude that's in the locker room, just like you can't stop. Like, you're just, you know, you're cracking up. You're probably peeing your pants.
Man,
Hopefully not peeing in your pants, but you know what
Right? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, man, CJ's funny. CJ Edwards is funny. I love that dude. First of all, I don't think like he's very serious about his work, hard worker, but like outside of actually having to do work, like this dude is always just playing around, always having a good time. He's just a great teammate to be around. Someone like you're always gonna laugh. He's always cracking jokes. So yeah, probably one of the funniest dudes I've met for sure.
I like that.
Kind of a follow up to that too, Trey. Like, how much do you talk with guys like you mentioned, CJ and some of these other guys, especially now, right, with the announcement that you are coming back? Like, have you heard from a lot of these guys? Like, have you had a chance to have a conversation with them and just, I'm sure they're wondering this, like, where did this come from? Like, you got to tell us the story too. Like, how much have you been able to talk with a lot of those guys that you were teammates with before? Now that you're, again, jumping back into baseball.
I mean, I've kept in contact with a lot of guys. One of my teammates, Brad Renner, I talk to him like probably every day. I got like this little never miss a Monday accountability chat, right? And he's in there. So, we're posting every time we finish a workout, go for a run. He's actually in dental school right now. So he's talking about these tests he's taken. And this dude is a genius, right? Like just super smart, hardworking. So I talk to him every day. David Garner, that's like my best friend. I get to talk to him quite a bit. Let's see, Zach Godley, Pierce Johnson, who's with the Padres now. Rob Zastrisny, who's with the Angels, I believe. Both of them had reached out, throughout my journey as they see me posting on Instagram and stuff, like asking what's going on, asking, to keep them updated, and then ultimately, congratulating me once I made it. Jake Stinnett, actually, so my girlfriend, she lives out in California. So every time I go out there, I would hit him up and be like, hey, I need to play catch. I mean, he's driving 20, 30 minutes to come play catch with me so I can get my work in. He's like, yo, keep me updated on what's going on. Keep me in the loop. Let me know what's happening. So really just like you talk about a culture of just great teammates that I've had. Man, I'm grateful. That's all I can say, man. I got some good people in my life.
And you're being Sloan Park, that's your hometown, right? Mesa, Arizona. Have you been there this entire time too, as a trainer, and have you stayed there this entire time?
Yeah, so I live in Tempe, so I'm probably like 10 minutes away from the field.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like I've pretty much been in Arizona this whole time. So, I've drove by the field many a times, looked down and see them little people in blue uniforms, and I'm like, hey, that used to be me, And then now I'm on the field looking at people driving on the highway, and I'm like, man, I remember when I used to drive past this every day, So yeah, still home right down the street.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, Ron, you got any other questions right now? Because I got a couple, but I don't want to feel like I'm kind of owning those.
Well, I know you want to get into all the nitty gritty and the pitch arsenal, so I'm going to leave that for you. But no, I think Trey, like I think it's like you said, man, it's so cool, right? That full circle, like you said, you're driving by like that used to be me, and now you're watching those people drive by, and you're like that used to be me. Like I'm back here now doing this again. Like, just what is maybe. Before we get into like some of the more like true baseball talk, because I know Joey's dying to pick your brain about what you're throwing down there. But like, what is right now, like, what are just some of the kind of your off-season goals? Like, is there a certain thing that you're trying to accomplish right now? Like, especially as like a trainer, right? I feel like you have that mentality, right? Like everybody needs to set a personal goal. And, even if it is something and you're like, all right, I'm going to hit that goal, I'm going to nail it, and then I'm going to make a new goal, and we're going to keep going. Like, what are some of those goals right now that you have kind of with spring training in mind? Like, is there something that you're really trying to work on? You're like, I want to accomplish this. Like, what are just, again, like some of your kind of your goals that you've been really working on so far throughout the winter time now?
Man, step one, stay healthy, right? Like most important is like, especially now that I got the opportunity, like I'm trying to show up to spring training ready to go. As far as like physical goals, man, like I'm already strong. Like I've been spending the last 11 years in the gym. I'm pushing weight, lifting every day, just because I was like an everyday person, right? Like I'm just trying to take care of me, be healthy for life, push myself competitively. So I had things to work on, get my squat up, deadlift, X amount of pounds. Like now it's like, how can I become efficient? How can I transfer what I did in the weight room to the field? Like, where am I having, mechanical inefficiencies, stuff like that. So
Sure.
being able to utilize all the equipment we have at the facility with, the data they have of force plates and, get to be in the lab and see, pitch data. Like, I don't know what none of that stuff means, right? Like you talk to me about spin efficiencies and vertical this. I'm like, hey, all I know is like, did he hit it or not? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. So I'm learning a lot right now as far as that stuff goes. Yeah. But really my goal is just stay healthy, keep learning, and then just be ready to go. Like, whether I'm in big league camp or if I'm in minor league camp, like I just want to be ready to go that day that I see, I'm on the lineup card, and then eventually they call the bullpen, tell me to warm up, that like I'm ready to go for that first inning of spring training. So that's my biggest goal.
What one quick thing here, Joey, before you start diving in all this pitch data, what do you squat by chance? Because I feel like you're like you said, you've been working out for a long time. I'm what, probably at least 5 probably.
Yeah, so I did Squattober, and so I think the last day of Squattober we had to max out, and I did 500 pounds for 1 rep.
Let's go.
So
let's go.
That was awesome. Important. I had a goal in mind. We got it done, and since then, ain't even been close to that.
Hey, that's all right, man. That's all right. Well, it's different, right? Like, just I feel like, especially as pitchers too, because like I played college football, so like I'm used to the whole, you're squatting as much weight as you can, deadlifting, benching, like, but like from a pitching standpoint, especially because your arm and stuff, like you don't want to get too big or do something that's too crazy, because it might not, like you said, right? Being efficient and transferring that efficiencies to the field, like lifting a ton of weight isn't necessarily the most efficient thing for a pitcher or just for a baseball player in general. So, I was just curious with the squat total there, but no, I think that's awesome. All right, Joey, I know you're willing. I know you're ready to dive in, my man. So take it away.
I want to, but you led me on another real quick, like a fun question. This is the hard. You did. This is the hard hitting question for you, Trey.
All right.
I heard the squat, 500. What was the pump up music? I know you like some good music. I saw your I think maybe it was your Spotify Wrapped. I don't know what you posted on Instagram, but I saw like your top 5, and I lost a couple of them in there. Like I can't remember a couple of them, but what was the music playing when you had that 500 squat? If you can remember, like what's normally playing the pump up music?
Man, when I'm working out and I'm lifting heavy weight, a day where I really got to dig deep, man, I just put on some classical music, bro. Like that's my jam. I'm not the type of guy that's like velo slap me in the back, hype me up, yell at me, scream at me. Yeah. Like I'm trying to get real zen. I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to control my breathing. I'm trying to just be calm. So yeah, man, like if I'm lifting heavy weights, like put on some classical music and just get after it.
That's awesome.
I feel like too, right? Like I feel like that's just that translates so well as a pitcher too, right? Just like you said, that zen. I think of a guy, you mentioned a guy that you walk past every day, and Kyle Hendricks, right? And that's what he's like on the mound. He doesn't express any feelings. He doesn't smile. Like everybody gives him crap. They're like, he doesn't smile. He doesn't laugh because he's just in that zone. And I feel like, talking about efficiencies and things you translate to the field, like finding that, like you said, that zen when you got to get the job done is something super important. Sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to take it away from you there.
No, absolutely not, man. That's that to me, that kind of makes a lot of sense, because it's like you got to have your mind and everything together in order as just to remain so focused. And like even as like a bullpen pitcher or starting pitcher, that makes a lot of sense because you're going to get in the game. It's going to be chaos around you, maybe, first and third, 1 out, no outs, bases loaded, no outs. And you got to be able to keep that kind of like zen, like listening to that type of music. I feel like that could be very effective in the long run, even as a pitcher, so I kind of like that a lot. I saw you had Currency. I think you had Currency on there and you had Russ on there for a couple of them, right? Like not many people like Russ, and I don't know why. Like I like Russ because there's like it's like a different. There's some people who do, and then some people who don't, and like certain songs I really like fuck with a lot. And then there's some songs that like maybe like the sing-songy stuff that people don't like. I'm not sure, but he's a little cocky sometimes. Like, he knows he's good and he's not afraid to tell you, so maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I don't know. I just some random stuff that I was thinking about. But now like I do want to get into the pitch stuff. Your bullpen sessions, man, I was watching them. I'm like, that looks wicked, dude. Like this is a guy that's just returning from what did you say, 8 years off? I mean, but the bullpen sessions look pretty damn good. And like, yeah, you might have struggled with some control before. I didn't really know that you were a converted outfielder until you said that. But in the article, I mentioned Brandon Hughes, and Hughes is a converted outfielder. So kind of putting that together, like that's a pretty good, I don't know, I'm just thinking this through of like a guy, it didn't take him long to get to the majors. They converted him. And he kind of like stuck down this road, didn't really know much about pitching. I feel like he pitched a little bit, but they're like, okay, we see the stuff in you and kind of we can see a path for you, like heading to the majors. And I'm looking at your bullpen sessions. You told me your arsenal, 4-seam, curve, slider, splitter. Of those pitches, what do you think is your most dangerous?
Most dangerous.
I mean, you got the gas. You got the gas. We know that, yeah. But is that the most dangerous?
I mean, obviously, it's like you want to say the fastball because that thing just jumps out the hand. I think naturally I got some just cut spin. So, like, the fastball just has a lot of late action. Guys I'm playing catch with, it's like they think they've got it, and then they don't. You take your eyes off for a second, and it's like hits off the end of the glove or it catches you in the heel of the glove. So the fastball's definitely got some life. It's a pitch I probably throw the most. I will say the splitter, it's a new pitch, so I'm still getting used to it. But that thing, I mean, it's gross, right? Like,
I love it. I love it. I was hoping that's the one you were gonna say because I love that pitch.
So I was actually talking to Bruce, so he's a catcher. He's like, man, he saw a video I posted. He's like, bro, bang the changeup. He's like, when you throw the changeup, you drop your arm slot. You try to be too cute with it. He's like, try to throw a splitter. I'm like, cool. So I started messing around with the splitter. And then my buddy over at Terrace Sports, Daniel Tyler, he's one of the pitching coaches over there I've been working with. And he kind of showed me a little bit of variance with the splitter of like how I can hold it, towards the end of my fingers, tuck it in deeper. It just gave me some different cues. And once I kind of felt the feel that I liked, man, like that thing it just drops off the table. I felt bad for one of the guys I was pitching to, one of the catchers. I think one of them, he tried to catch it, and at the last second, it just fell off the table, smacked him in the foot. You know what I'm saying? 90 miles an hour. So yeah, that's a pitch I'm probably the most excited about just because it's new. It like gives me something to work on. Like the curveball, I feel like I could throw with my eyes closed. The fastball, like I've relied on for most of my career. Slider is like definitely a good out pitch that I have. A lot of spin, good depth. But that splitter being something new, and it breaks, the opposite direction that all my other pitches break. And then the fact that I could still run it up there in the low 90s, it's an exciting pitch to throw for sure. I don't think my friends don't like playing catch with it, but it's definitely fun to throw.
Man, I could just imagine what those the rec league guys were thinking going up there against. Even when you were like throwing, what was it, 93 at the time, or whatever it was. Like those guys didn't stand a chance, man. Like I feel bad for them, and I've never met them. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it was always funny. Because like, so the whole game I'm playing the outfield, I'm hitting, I'm stealing bases, I'm just being a dude. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm joking around with everyone, a lot of energy. And then guys are kind of asking me as the game's going on, like, "Hey, are you pitching tonight? Are you pitching tonight?" I'm like, "I might throw an inning." And they're like, "All right." And then I come in and
they're toast. They know it. They know they're toast.
yeah. I mean, it was funny because like at first, before anyone knew who I was or had seen me throw, it's probably a better way of putting it. I actually I was playing right field all game. My buddy Pete is just dominating, big lefty. So then I come in, and one of the guys on the other team, he's like, "Oh, finally, the right fielder's coming in." But he don't know I'm the hardest throwing guy in this whole league, right? So he's
Careful what you ask for, my friend.
Right? He's all excited, and then I throw like my first warm up pitch, and he's like, "This is not the guy we were hoping for."
Oh,
he's like, "I want the guy that throws 50, not 95." Like, what are we doing?
I asked for the bench right fielder, the guy that doesn't play ever.
Oh man, it was hilarious. But yeah, I mean, it was always fun. Guys are, the guys on the other team are just laughing at that point because it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, for the most part, most of the guys in the league, pitch maybe like 70 to 85. So then all of a sudden I come in throwing low to mid 90s, and they're like, "This isn't fair." Like, this is funny.
That's literally my league, dude. We should. I wish I could have recruited you and just put you up here in like the Chicagoland area, so you could have done that on our team because it's 70 to 80. These guys wouldn't have. Man, oh man. I wish I would have known. I wish I would have. You probably wouldn't have wanted to leave Mesa, Arizona, but yeah. I mean, who would? Like, I wouldn't want to come up here.
I wouldn't want to go
to the big league. Yeah, not right now. Definitely not. What's 24 degrees? I don't even know what it is right now. It's probably 20. That's awesome, man. Like this has been great. Ron, do you have any like other? I don't want to keep you all night because I know you got you've probably got clients tomorrow. You've probably got I don't know what you got going on the rest of the weekend, but we appreciate your time, man. Like this has been so great listening to you talk about your story and yeah, Ron, I don't know if you have anything else, but anything else, Trey, that you might have that you might want to tell us or tell anybody that's listening to this.
Man, I guess the one thing I'll say is like in this whole journey, if I learned anything, it's like if you are willing to do everything that you can and exhaust all options to try to accomplish one thing, like, man, the sky's the limit. Like, if, at first as I'm thinking about getting back into baseball, like I said, like I'm 30 years old, I'm 8 years out the league. I don't know how you just call the Cubs like, "Hey, I'm trying to try out." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so to just like work hard every day, play catch against the wall every day, run, work out, just do all those things repeatedly over and over again, just hoping one day I was going to get an opportunity. Man, like, what a beautiful thing that is. So, I mean, that's the one thing I could say is just like, if you really want something, like, you got to do everything in your power to make that happen. And Joey, as you had put in the article, when I had posted that tweet that I was going to play professional baseball again, man, I just felt like if I didn't believe it, if I didn't put it out there, it would have never happened. So, from posting a tweet, doing all the work, reaching out to my coaches, friends to play catch with, like, just doing all of those things. If one spoke of the wheel was missing, I wouldn't be here. So, I'm grateful, and I'm obviously, just blessed to have the opportunity. And man, I'm proud of myself. That's probably one of the biggest things. I think when I was heading to Sloan for the first time to throw a bullpen, I had recorded a video of myself, and I was just like, man, I'm proud of you. Like, you've worked so hard to get to this point. Like, whatever happens from here happens. And I remember I was driving to the field, and I called my dad, and he's like, "Are you nervous?" And I just started crying. And I was like, man, like, I can't believe I'm about to go do this right now. Like, I never thought that this day would come. So just grateful to be here. Happy for the happy and blessed for the opportunity and just looking forward to what's next.
That's incredible, dude.
I'm gonna clip that little segment you just did right there, Trey. And anytime somebody tells me they can't do something, I'm just gonna send that to them. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm just no context, just watch it. And they'll be like, "What do you mean?" Just watch it, because I'm ready to run through a wall. So like, I mean, but no, man, honestly, like just like Joey said, dude, like hearing about your story and it's always so cool to get to talk with players, here and hear about you guys and get to kind of know you guys a little bit, right? And more than just the uniform or more than just the guy on the field that we're watching at home. And man, I think after talking with you today and anybody that is going to be listening to this show when it's out, whether it's podcast, whether it's the stream here with us, you're going to make a lot of fans, man. You've got two right here that you're talking to, man. We're rooting for you. Like I hope that we're showing up at Wrigley one day knowing that you're coming out of the pen potentially. Cause like that's what, like you said, man, you're manifesting your destiny. And it's so cool to see you taking a stab. You found the love for baseball again. You said, you know what, I'm going to go for it. What do I got to lose? Right. You said, I'm going to give it a shot and give it a go, man. And I know we're rooting for you. And, like Joey said, man, thanks for jumping on with us. This has been absolutely awesome to hear your story and just get to know you more as a person too, man. It's truly a pleasure. We appreciate it. You got fans over here at Cubs on Tap, man. We'll be following you all season long. So it's going to be an awesome ride, and we're truly grateful for it, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thank you, Trey. We like he said, fans for life. We'll be in attendance. We're gonna have to make it work when you get the call and are pitching at Wrigley Field. If it's out of town, we might have to take a trip anyways, Ron.
Hey, I can talk to El Prez and he can, on tap can pay for the plane tickets. It's fine. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. It's a business expense.
We make it work. Honestly, dude, like I feel like you could be a motivational speaker, like Ron said. Like that's and later on down the road, like you're retired or whatever. Again, like a second retirement, hopefully, a while down the road here, you could probably be like a podcast host with us. Like he feels like he could be like a podcast host or something. Like you got that energy, like the motivational.
Always an open invitation, Trey. Always an open invitation.
Yeah, you're welcome back anytime, basically, is what I'm saying.
Hey, thank you. Hey, you can check out my Instagram, Never Miss a Monday. I try to post some motivational clips in there, here and there. It's just about helping people, right? Like we're all people. We're all trying to get to whatever we want in life. So however you can pass on some knowledge, some wisdom, or just a hug, you know what I'm saying? Like some encouragement. Absolutely. It goes a long way. So I appreciate you guys for having me.
Hey, well, we appreciate it, Trey. Thank you so much, man. We'll catch up with you here in just a second after we close down this show. But thanks again, man. We'll talk to you here in a second.
Hey, thank your pops too for him sending you that article too.
I will.
Thank him too. That's awesome, man.
Awesome. Thanks, Trey. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, thank you.
Later, Trey.
All right, real quick, Joey, we will shut this thing down. That was our discussion with Trey Lang. What an awesome interview. I know you and I are going to be probably talking about this for the rest of the week, man. This is awesome stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, as you guys know, Cubs on Tap, we are the official Cubs podcast of the On Tap Sports Network. Check out all of our work. You know the drill, ontapsportsnet.com, at ontapsportsnet on social media. Cubs on Tap, we are at Cubbies on Tap. That's Twitter and Instagram. I am at Loose on Tap. Joey's at Joey Knows Nothing. Follow all their other great contributors and team members as well. Be sure to follow Trey on Instagram. You can find him. It is T23 Lang, I believe, is his Instagram handle. We'll get that confirmed. It'll be in the podcast description as well when this comes out, so everybody can follow along with Trey's journey. And I know we'll be following along too. But Joey, what do you say, man? We wrap this thing up and get out of here the only way I know how here, Cubs on Tap.
Fuck the Cardinals. We love Trey Lang. Yeah, and let's go Cubs.